Democrat strategists are openly panicking as they're watching their own base torch their party. The far-left socialist wing promised they would burn the entire system down. The establishment elites never imagined in their worst nightmares that would begin with their own Democrat Party. Stick them at the very end of this video because I'm going to show you the latest data that's absolute disaster for the Democrats. Their brand is in a free fall, and we're already seeing the fallout. A safe blue seat just officially flipped, and many are saying that's just the beginning. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you make sense of the madness with breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, for the first time in years, I'm excited to open a live virtual classroom, a masterclass dedicated entirely to my brand new book, Civcosm, taught by me, your patron professor, personally for 6 weeks starting in September on everything you need to know about the rise of a civilizational cosmocracy all around the world. Once this cohort fills, that's it. The class is closed. So if you've been waiting for a sign to actually understand what's been happening in the world instead of just reacting to it, this is it, gang. Join my Civcosm Masterclass waitlist simply by clicking on the link below. All right, let's dive right in here. CNN's data analyst Harry Enton has just dropped a bombshell on the Democrats' hopes for taking back Congress. And it's a comparison between Democrat approval back in 2018 when they went on to win 40 seats in the midterm that year and public approval of the Democrats today as we speak. Roll it.
They were actually on the plus side of the ledger. They were actually in positive territory at plus 1 point. Look now in 2026. We're not just talking down there underneath the Potomac. We're talking down there with the Titanic. We're talking 24 points underwater. And this is just the party overall. This isn't the congressional leadership. This is the party. The party. It's just a terrible, terrible, terrible brand. Terrible. I want to almost get my Charles Barkley. Terrible, terrible. I can't even do a Charles Barkley. But the bottom line is it's absolutely terrible.
Now, we don't need to look very far to see what Harry Enton is talking about here. According to the latest Quinnipiac poll, the Democrats have fallen to an approval rating of just 17%. 70% disapprove. So that's even worse than what Harry Enton found. That's a minus 53 below water. I mean, things are absolutely abysmal for this dying party. And so, of course, the fundamental question is why? Why are the Democrats in such a polling freefall? Here again is Harry Enton.
Now, what is the reasons? Why is the Democratic brand so terrible? Well, one reason why the Democratic brand is so terrible at this point in the voters' minds is, take a look at this trend line. Voters saying that Democrats are too liberal. In 1996, it was 42%. In 2013, it was 58%. Now, the clear majority of Americans believe, and the clear majority of voters say that the Democratic Party is too liberal. 57%, they think that the Democratic Party is out of the mainstream, out of the frame, I dare say. My God, this is a massive, massive problem.
It is a massive problem, and we need look no further than what just happened in Michigan last week, because this is the single clearest example of what's happening to the Democrat Party as a whole right now as we speak. Remember, Michigan was supposed to be an easy hold for the Democrats. They weren't going to spend a dime in that race. Michigan hasn't voted for a Republican senator since 1994, in 30 years. But then the party's radical activist base went and nominated Abdul El-Sayed, a bona fide Democrat socialist. He's literally a communist. And he barely won a bruising primary over the more moderate establishment candidate, Congresswoman Haley Stevens. He won by less than 1 percentage point. He vastly underperformed his polling. I mean, you had polls that had El-Sayed up by 14 points in the days leading up to the primary, 10 points, 16 points, and he barely squeaked by with just 1%. It was a bitter, expensive primary that left the party bloody and divided. But in the immediate aftermath after that primary, polling averages tracking the general election against Republican Mike Rogers show this race has completely flipped. Real Clear Politics has Rogers up a point in the post-primary average, and other trackers like 270 to Win and Decision Desk show Rogers with leads ranging from 2 to nearly 5 points. Now, you compare that to what the race looked like before the primary, when Democrats had an 80% chance of winning, according to the prediction markets. I mean, you can see just how fast this seat has collapsed for the Democrats. That number's cratered, that in the prediction markets, that number's cratered down now to the 50s, with Republican win probability nearly doubling just since last week, since El-Sayed won. A seat that Democrats were supposed to run away with is now a genuine dogfight, maybe even a Republican favorite. And again, we're learning why from the demographic breakdown of the primary vote. CNN's own election analysis found that El-Sayed won exactly zero of the 15 Michigan counties with the lowest share of college degrees in the primary. Zero. While sweeping 13 of the 15 counties with the highest share of college degrees. In other words, the guy running on I'm a working class populist message got demolished with actual working class voters. And instead, he is the most popular man on the planet with affluent, college-degreed white progressives. That is not a coalition, gang. That's an inversion of these socialists claim to represent. And a poll commissioned by Michigan's own largest teachers union actually found El-Sayed trailing Rogers by 7 points in a general election matchup, while the more moderate Stevens was actually running neck and neck with Rogers. The union that's supposed to be a core Democrat constituency is quietly telling its own party that the socialist candidate can't win. And that's exactly the conclusion of none other than veteran Democrat pollster Mark Penn.
Mark, you worked with Bill Clinton. How are Democrats dealing with this political collision?
Well, look, this is a political implosion of the Democratic Party. To have your Senate nominees, and I agree with Senator Fetterman, palling around with Hasan Piker, anti-American, anti-Semitic, anti-capitalist, really the most extreme kind of policies which are anathema to Bill Clinton Democrats, right, who were trying to bring the country together, move it forward, get rid of poverty, balance the budget, do those great things for America. So this party is veering off of the rails. Will it come back? It's frankly going to take the Republican and independent voters to bring it back and to show where America really stands.
Have you ever wondered why your energy starts to change as you get older? A big part of it comes down to what's happening inside your cells. Your body's made up of more than 30 trillion of them, and every single one needs energy to repair itself, communicate properly, and keep your body working the way it should. Inside those cells are tiny structures called mitochondria. You can think of them as the engines that power your body. They take the food you eat, the oxygen you breathe, and they turn it into the energy you need to think, move, recover, and stay healthy. But as we age, those engines begin to slow down. That can affect everything from your energy and your focus to your physical performance and how quickly your body recovers. That's where NMN comes in. NMN is a naturally occurring compound that helps replenish NAD+, something your cells rely on to produce energy, repair everyday damage, and support healthy aging. As NAD+ levels decline, your cells have a harder time doing their jobs efficiently. Research shows that NMN may help support healthier NAD+ levels, energy metabolism, physical activity, insulin sensitivity, mitochondrial function, and age-related gene expression. That's why Brightcore created NMN3. Rather than taking NAD+ itself, supplementing with NMN gives your body the raw material it needs to naturally produce more NAD+, making it a more effective way to replenish declining levels. With consistent daily use, NMN3 helps support better energy, more restful sleep, stronger physical performance, healthy immune function, and an improved overall sense of well-being. And MM3 is all natural, non-GMO, proudly made right here in the USA. So if you're ready to support your cellular energy and start feeling more like yourself again, now's the time to try NM3. Today you can get an exclusive offer by clicking the link below. Just use code TURLEY for 25% off your entire order, or for an even better deal, call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order plus free shipping. Give them a call right now at 888-597-0233. That's 888-597-0233. There's a reason Democrat strategists like Mark Penn are freaking out here, calling this the implosion of the Democrat Party. A brand new Washington Post Ipsos poll dropped just last week, and it's an absolute disaster for the socialist wing of the Democrat Party. 55% of Americans, nearly 60%, say they would not even consider voting for a Democratic socialist president, compared to just 39% who said they would. So it's basically a 60-40 split. If you dig into the numbers, I think that's a bit misleading, because it's a poll that actually claimed that 12% of Republicans would be totally cool with voting for these socialists, which I find very hard to believe. I haven't seen any polling to corroborate that. So I would see this more as a 70-30 issue, and that fits more with the overall pattern that we've been seeing with woke cultural socialism. And we've talked about this ad nauseum on this channel, but the key to understanding all of this comes down to the reciprocal dynamic. It's a single reciprocal dynamic, meaning it's two dynamics working in tandem with each other. So one single reciprocal dynamic. Cultural socialism splits the left, while at the same time it unites the right. That's what you have to get. Okay, cultural socialism splits the left and it unites the right in opposition against it. Again, we saw this explicitly play out in the Michigan primary, at least on the left side of things. Cultural socialism, as we saw in that primary, split the left, literally 50-50, right down the middle. But at the same time, it unites the right in opposition against the cultural socialists. So there's actual academic research that found that these identity-driven, redistributive social issues divides the Democrat coalition while largely uniting Republicans and independents against it. And so what that means is there's always going to be more people to come out and vote against the socialists than vote for them. Again, for the exception of these socialist enclaves like New York City or something like that. But even then, Mamdani barely won. He only won by a few points. Same with Crazy Katie out in Seattle. She won by less than 1%. The reason it splits the left is relatively straightforward. Cultural socialism holds that public policy should redistribute wealth, power, and status from the privileged to the underprivileged victim groups, right? The oppressed. And that tends to be understood in racial terms, gender terms, and the like. The privilege versus that's why they're not so much economic Marxists as they are cultural Marxists. The money's still there, but it gets divided, it gets redistributed in accordance with the privileged versus underprivileged cultural, racial, ethnic, gender categories, sexual categories. That message energizes a slice of the far left, but it alienates moderate Democrats, working class Democrats, and virtually every independent who just wants a functioning, prosperous, safe country. Meanwhile, on the Republican side, opposition to that agenda unites nearly the entire coalition. MAGA populists, establishment conservatives, rhinos, independents who lean right, they all rally around the same rejection of it. That is precisely why we're watching people like James Carville and Bill Maher come out and absolutely obliterate this stuff, right? These are not exactly conservative firebrands, right? But they've both publicly said that if the Democrat Party keeps moving in this direction like they did in Michigan and like they're about to do in Wisconsin, then Bill Maher and James Carville, they can no longer remain Democrats. John Fetterman is openly saying the same thing. Bill Maher has even said he's open to voting Republican if the socialists keep taking over. That's what's happening to the Democrat Party right now as we speak. It is splitting apart, all as it's in a polling freefall as it lurches to the far progressive left. Now, put all of this together, and you get a party that's nominating candidates its own most extreme radical wing of primary voters. It's literally 50%, 25% of the general public loves, but the general electorate, the other 70%, as it were, they can't stomach. And they're doing it in state after state, race after race, and now you can see precisely why Michigan has just flipped in favor of the GOP. And it's exactly why races across the map are beginning to flip the same way. It's because Democrats keep letting their radical activist wing dictate who gets to run. Even James Tallarico, in many respects, is one of these radical leftists. Every one of these, that's a guy in Texas, every one, and he's going to get beaten by Ken Paxton easily. Every one of these primary wins for the DSA wing is quietly handing Republicans a gift for November. So again, it's still early. We still have a way to go. But as things stand, we may not have to worry about how President Trump is going to help the GOP win the midterms. Instead, we may be watching the Democrats themselves foolishly lose them. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section below. And as always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button for breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. Love you guys. God bless.